Hello friends! Every day more information comes out that confirms the previous one, and I am sure that the final result will be absolutely positive. Opinion article: Singing in the Rain. A number of credible complainants have come forward. We are at the brilliant moment in history. There are sworn witnesses to the design of the software. Sidney Powell says the Kraken has been released. Several lawsuits prepare for the Supreme Court. Evidence is so overwhelming that they will have to accept it. Federal election chief speaks of the widespread fraud. There is sufficient evidence to initiate an extensive investigation. Bannon predicts 2 weeks until the defeat of the globalists. Legal challenges remain active on several battlefields. The Trump took the bait and fell directly into the trap. Judy Shelton appointment to the Fed stalled in the Senate. Identify the algorithm used to rig the choice, says Sidney Powell. Robert David Steele expects over 100 resignations from Congress by Christmas. The world is watching. The Constitution is shattered, says the President. President fires Cybersecurity Director Chris Krebs for going against him. Let's start. Witnesses to the overwhelming evidence emerging about electoral manipulation are already beginning to sing in the rain. The trap was set in 2018, and the evidence will leave many disbelieving and confident citizens in the media. As we say in Spain, lies have very short legs, and it's easier to catch a liar than a lame man. As the lyrics of the first chorus of Gene Kelly's famous song that appeared in a musical film in 1952 said, "Singing in the rain, I'm singing in the rain, just singing in the rain. What a glorious feeling. I am happy again. I'm laughing at clouds, so dark above. The sun's in my heart, and I am ready for love. Now it's forbidden to sing in the rain, and it's also forbidden to be happy." A wave of exposure of Trump crimes against we the people is coming, said the intelligence contact. He added that there may be a bank closure in the next 2 or 3 weeks because of the financial restart. It would be time to remove the orcs. Key dates. Don Carlos de Marbella was told that there may be a media blackout for a week. The key dates on which important announcements could be made would be 22nd and 23rd December, which coincide with the anniversary of JFK's magnificent and Thanksgiving. But all this will not be over by Christmas. Don Carlos explained that the blunt president was not elected because he is a saint. He was elected because he believes in the Constitution. He had to do this job. About 3 years ago, a group of generals came to see me and explained that they were prepared to stage a coup d'état. And then, a few weeks later, I got another call, and they said they were reconsidering because they had agreed that the blunt millionaire would run, and that they would carry out their reform as a legitimate process to root out the bad guys within the government. Now everyone is saying that the president is going to lose, that he will be out of office and he will be accused but will launch a counter-attack and will not be removed from office. But it always seems that he is going to lose just before he wins, and he will invoke the military courts to give him fair trials. To give them, the bad ones, the bad guys, I mean. Don Carlos believes that Nesara could have started on 2nd November and that the 120-day deadline would be met by March 2021. But you know that happiness can be found even in the darkest moments, if one only remembers to turn on the light, according to Albus Dumbledore. The problem with the swamp is that he has a culture of invincibility. No one in the system is brave enough to stand up and say, wait a minute, let's reconsider what we are doing. Was the Kraken released? Mark Therfos believes that the Kraken will be launched on Wednesday or Thursday, and that several credible complaints have already come forward. Lawyer Sidney Powell has just stated that the Kraken has already been released and that the results are just beginning to emerge. You are starting to see the signs, she explained in a tweet. Several sources have confirmed that a Defense Department unit raided servers in Frankfurt, Germany, obtaining irrefutable evidence of vote tampering. According to the affidavit of a high-ranking military officer, the voting machines were specifically designed so that the system could change each voter's vote without being detected. The explosive affidavit of the high-ranking military officer in the possession of former federal prosecutor Sidney Powell is part of the evidence his legal team is gathering against foreign interference in the elections. We also have the president cleaning house at the Department of Defense, not only removing Mark Esper, but also removing and replacing many other officials, creating a pro-American contingent within the Pentagon that could possibly execute mass arrest warrants. The X-22 report explained that the swamp took the bait and fell directly into the trap of the coalition, which has all the evidence against it that is needed to bring them down. Positive news. The famous ex-Marine Robert David Steele has some positive news for those of us who don't want to be stuck in the dark winter of 2021. Robert is expecting over 100 resignations from Congress, probably over the Christmas holidays. He is again reporting on the vote tabulation servers being captured by the military, not by the intelligence trying to cover their ass, as rumored by some. He explains that after Christmas holidays, it was expected that there would be more than 100 congressional resignations due to the agreements made during the investigation of a coup d'etat against the president, the fraudulent voting in the 2020 elections, and the attempt to overthrow a duly elected president. He believes that when the audits are finally done, some audits are currently underway, the president will take Pennsylvania, Georgia, probably Arizona. He will also take over the House when the California House seats return to their proper alignment. Robert says he believes that most of the bad guys now wear election anklets. He says it's a job over the next 30 to 45 days to educate the public about the depth and breadth of the crimes committed against the people. Robert ends by jovially saying that we are at a pivotal moment in history. Sorcha Fall has revealed that a director of the three-letter intelligence agency was injured after a military raid on the secret election base in Germany. Congressman Luis Gomert said that the US Army has raided a European software company in Germany and seized the computer servers used to corrupt the presidential election. Although a few hours ago Congressman Gohmert changed his words to include the intelligence agencies' involvement in this crime, and furthermore said that they had now analyzed the confiscated computer data and there are 410 electoral votes for the president. Demands. Several election lawsuits are ready to go to the Supreme Court. Former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani said Tuesday that the Republican campaign is prepared to lose elections related cases in an attempt to bring them to the Supreme Court. Frankly, this is a case we'd like to take to the Supreme Court, he said in an interview with Fox Business, referring to a campaign case to get about 700,000 discarded mail ballots in Pennsylvania. So we are prepared in some of these cases to lose an appeal and take it to the Supreme Court. Federal Election Commission Chairman Trey Traynor supports Sidney Powell's claim that there has been widespread election fraud. Trey Traynor, head of the Federal Election Commission, said in a tweet Tuesday that he believes the assertion of attorney Sidney Powell, who recently said the president's legal team has been received a flood of evidence of election anomalies, and told Fox Business that he has enough evidence to initiate an extensive investigation and that we are preparing to overturn election results in several states. Identify the algorithm. We have mathematically identified the exact algorithm they used for the election, says Sidney Powell. The manipulators could see the votes in real time, and they could change the votes in real time, or even access anything remotely. Powell interfered that the software was used to change the votes. Nothing that we have noting that we have mathematically identified the exact algorithm they used, and they planned to use it from the beginning. Attorney Sidney Powell made explosive statements in an interview on Sunday, saying the campaign was uncovered strong evidence of vote changing machines in several states. Speaking to Fox Business, Powell said that we are preparing to overturn the election results in several states, adding that I don't comment without the evidence to back it up. Powell said a whistleblower has emerged with evidence that the voting machine software was tampered with. We have so much evidence, I feel like it's coming through a fire hose. Powell said they can put a USB stick in the voting machine. They can upload software to it even from the internet, even from Germany or Venezuela, he said. Recourse to the Supreme. Sidney Powell would accuse Chief Justice Roberts, if he did not accept the case, of alleged massive election fraud. He also warns states that certifying election results will in turn certify their own complicity in fraud. The attorney for the Republican post-election legal team says the evidence of voter fraud is so overwhelming that the Supreme Court will have no choice but to take the case. Powell joined the Rush Limbaugh show on Monday to tell guest host Mark Steyn that states should reconsider their enthusiasm for certifying election results given the overwhelming evidence of election fraud. I think the evidence is going to be very overwhelming, and I would warn any state at this point that thinks they are going to certify this election to seriously reconsider, because what they are certifying is their own fraud and their own complicity in fraud, said Powell. And even I could mount a class action suit to denounce them for their participation in it. It's ridiculous. Powell also pointed out that if Chief Justice John Roberts refused to accept this mass case, he should be charged. If that's not big enough for him to take the case, he should be indicted, she said. Powell said on Sunday that she and the Republican legal team have accumulated an staggering amount of evidence showing that the president won not only by hundreds of thousands of votes, but by millions of votes. We are preparing to overturn the election results in several states, and the president won not only by hundreds of thousands of votes, but by millions of votes that were displaced by this software that was designed expressly for that purpose, Powell said. We have multiple testimonies from sworn witnesses and to why this software was designed. It was designed to manipulate elections. I was fully aware of that. She saw it happen in other countries. Powell said, I am furious about all that. I am furious about the level of corruption. I am furious that the three-letter agencies have done nothing about the complaints they received, which makes me want to know even more who has been paid, who is responsible for all of this, and who is paying whom to get their election. Prediction. Bannon predicts 2 weeks until the globalists are defeated. Former White House Chief Strategist Steve Bannon predicted that the globalist structure trying to steal the presidential election will be defeated in 2 weeks, as evidence of election fraud continues to pour in. In his program War Room Pandemic Tuesday, Bannon reminded his audience that the efforts of Big Tech and the media to silence him and others who tell the truth so that they do not talk about the electoral fraud will fail. Everyone, I want to reiterate, is changing the history of the world, Bannon said. That's why they are trying to shut down the show. That's why they are trying to suppress your voice. Good news. President fires Cybersecurity Director Chris Krebs. The president fired Cybersecurity Director Chris Krebs on Tuesday night for stating that the November 3 elections were the most secure in U.S. history. The Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency said in a statement released last Thursday. The president says the world is watching as the Constitution is shattered. The president has refused to concede the presidential race, saying this year's elections were rigged by the Democrats, citing apart from anything else that preliminary results showed he led in several states, which then changed. He added that the Constitution must be protected from those responsible for alleged violations during the election, since, he said, a large number of poll observers were expelled from the polling stations in many of the states. Validity of recount in Georgia questioned. The president on Monday questioned the validity of the recount in the state of Georgia, which began last Friday due to the narrow election result. The false count that is taking place in Georgia means nothing, because they do not allow signatures to be examined and verified, he said in a tweet in which he called for the removal of the so-called unconstitutional consent decree. Georgia recount discovers more than 2,600 uncounted ballots. In Floyd County, more than 2,600 uncounted ballots in Georgia's Floyd County were recently found during a recount in the state of the 2020 presidential election, according to the reports. Safety experts finds Michigan result a fraud. Current machines do not have the ability to count the massive dumps in the reported time period. According to Ramsland, we have been looking primarily at Michigan. We're starting to look at Pennsylvania and Georgia. The things you find in Michigan are amazing. There are over 3,000 precincts where the presidential vote cast, compared to the estimated Secretary of State voters, is 99% and up to 350%. Such numbers do not exist in the real world. So where did all those votes come from? Judy Shelton appointment to the Fed stalled in the Senate. The confirmation of Judy Shelton, the chairman nominee for the Federal Reserve, stalled in the Senate on Tuesday after the Vice President-elect returned to the upper house to cast a crucial vote. Two Republicans were absent because of problems related to the health care crisis. Reflection. According to James Gilliland, they want to impose a banana republic on us unless people wake up, stand up, and hold accountable those in the category of sedition and betrayal. We see a 20 or 50-year plan being developed to end freedom. It began years ago with the school system that literally brainwashed children about the benefits of totalitarianism, and also used the environment, something that everyone loves and that still has a shred of humanity, to manipulate. Their promise is that we will solve all environmental problems, but give us the total control of their lives, and will create carbon credits that will generate billions that will go to the world elite responsible for the problem in the first place. Tyranny needs control of the media, where it gets its information, control of power and wealth, control of its currency, control of the food supply, and most importantly, a way to silence and disarm any opposition. I would prefer to live in a civilization where universal law is best exemplified first and foremost in a constitutional republic, a work in progress. A world in which tyranny, self-serving before humanity and the earth, is out of fashion. These are divine rights. Do not let them be stolen from you. We are passing through a quantum leap in evolution. The universal energies are behind this, a transition that no human being, no visible or invisible entity can stop. Tyranny is not a specific frequency of this transition. Tyrants and their empires will collapse upon themselves. Action, reaction, or karma will be amplified and accelerate during this process. It's time to forgive, to release the past, to step out into nature and to focus on the higher frequencies of love, joy, bliss, and service to others. That is what is sustainable. Love the God within all your heart. See the created in all creation and accordingly. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot for your patience.